Greetings, Pokefans! Michael here. It's spring break, suckers! Woo! 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 I'm at home. Even if you only have the smallest exposure to Pokemon, you likely know about Pokemon types. Some are good against others, super effective. Some are bad against others, not very effective. And some just straight up don't do anything to others. Ineffective. But have you ever thought about why certain types are super effective against others? I have, so I'm gonna go through all 18 types and talk about why they're weak to the types super effective against them. I'm not gonna talk about resistances because that would be too much in one video, but I am gonna talk about immunities. Some of these will be pretty obvious, some will need some extra creativity to justify, and some just won't make any sense at all. So without further ado, let's start off with normal type. Normal is only weak to fighting type. This is likely because if you put your average Joe in the ring with a UFC fighter, it's pretty obvious who would win. Normal is also immune to Ghost, likely since ghosts just kind of phase through things and can't really touch people in most of their incarnations. Fire is weak to water, ground, and rock. Water because water is used to put out fires, and ground and rock because they're also both used to put out fires. Water is weak to grass and electric. Grass because plants use their roots to suck up water, and electric because water conducts electricity. But what's funny about that is that water doesn't actually conduct electricity. Pure water itself is an insulator, and it's the minerals within the water that are conducting the electricity. So maybe rock should be weak to electric. Also, if the justification for water being weak to electric is that water conducts electricity, why isn't steel weak to electric? Metal is literally the material used in wires, devices made for the purpose of conducting electricity. It doesn't make sense. But anyways, electric is only weak to ground. That's because to get rid of stray electricity, you ground the electricity. As in you stick a wire into the ground and the electricity is dispersed into the dirt harmlessly. Grass is weak to fire, ice, flying, bug, and poison. Fire because fire burns down plants pretty easily. Ever heard of a forest fire? Ice because an overnight frost could kill your hydrangeas. Flying because birds make their nests out of plants and simultaneously poop on them. Bug because lots of bugs eat plants. And poison because weed killer. Ice is weak to fire, fighting, steel, and rock. Fire because fire melts ice, as we saw with Charizard. Fighting because a skilled martial artist could supposedly break ice. Steel because an ice pick. And rock because... Fighting is weak to flying, fairy, and psychic. Flying because the high ground in a battle usually wins. Fairy because what good are your martial arts if a fairy can just cast a spell on you? And psychic because, in most cases, brains win over brawn. Poison is weak to psychic and ground. Psychic because... ground because, you know what, I'll be honest guys, I got nothing. Honestly, I think it should be the other way around. If venom gets into a person's body, it can shut down the mind, brain, and entire nervous system fairly quickly. And if toxic waste is spilled onto the ground, it can seep through and cause all sorts of problems, such as contaminating the groundwater supply. Huh. Maybe water should be weak to poison. Ground is weak to water, grass, and ice. Water because water washes away dirt in all sorts of situations. Grass because plants' roots dig into the dirt and suck up nutrients from it. And ice because really cold temperatures can render the ground useless for planting and walking. It's also immune to electric because of electrical grounding, like we discussed earlier. Flying is weak to ice, electric, and rock. Ice because a bird can't fly well if its wings are frosty. Electric because if your plane gets struck by lightning, you're in real trouble. And rock because, well, you can kill two birds with one stone. It's also immune to ground since creatures who are flying aren't really touching the ground. Psychic is weak to bug, ghost, and dark. This is because these three things are common human fears, and fear can inhibit the mind. Or trigger the fight or flight response. So maybe if you use a super effective move on a psychic type, it'll turn into a halucha! No? Oh, alright. Bug is weak to fire, flying, and rock. Fire because magnifying glass burning up ants. Flying because birds eat bugs. And rock because rocks can crush bugs. You might also think that poison would be super effective against bug because of pesticides, but it's not. It was in Generation 1, but not anymore. Maybe they were trying to make a point about bugs developing resistances to common pesticides. Who knows? Rock is weak to water, grass, ground, fighting, and steel. water because of erosion, grass because plants' roots could do something called root wedging, where they dig into the rock and break it apart, ground because earthquakes break rocks, fighting because of the idea again that a master martial artist could break rock, and steel because metal tools were used to turn this into this. Ghost is weak to ghost and dark. Ghost because of the idea that only ghosts could touch each other, and dark because an ice ghost like Casper could be corrupted by evil spirits. Ghost is also immune to normal and fighting, continuing the idea that a normal mortal couldn't touch a ghost. But then, how come normal is immune to ghost, but fighting isn't? I don't know. Dragons are weak to dragon, ice, and fairy. Dragon because of the idea that only another dragon would be strong enough to kill a dragon. Ice because dragons are reptiles and therefore cold-blooded, so cold temperatures would make them sluggish. And fairy because in fairy tales, the dragon is usually the one slayed at the end. Although, usually with a sword. So why isn't steel good against dragon? Dark, or evil type in Japanese, is weak to fighting, bug, and fairy. Fighting because in a fight of good versus evil, good will win. Bug because many bugs have excellent night vision, I think. And fairy because, again, in fairy tales, evil loses in the end. Dark is also immune to psychic, likely again to the whole fear-mongering thing. Steel is weak to ground, fighting, and fire. Ground because of the idea of the earth taking back man-made structures over time. Fighting because, again, the martial artist breaking stuff. And fire because metal can be melted and reformed with intense heat. Metal is also a really good conductor of heat. So why isn't electric good against it? And also, why isn't water good against it? Water makes metal rust. Come on, Game Freak. It's also immune to poison since you can't poison metal, but you also can't poison rocks or darkness or just whatever. And lastly, fairy is weak to steel and poison. Steel because in many mythological stories, steel was very damaging to fey creatures. And poison because many fairies are portrayed as nature spirits, so poison can be very damaging to them in their environmental homes. Fairy is also immune to dragon because the metagame needed to be balanced out. Sorry guys, that's all I got. So those are all 18 types. It's interesting to see how much thought, or how little thought, went into making all of these weaknesses and advantages. What did you think of this video? What were your favorite explanations? Are there any explanations that you can come up with other than the ones I said? Or some explanations for the ones I couldn't come up with? Let me know in the comments below! Alright, that's all I have for now. So until next time, Poke fans. Gotta catch them all.